Morning. Good morning. Greetings. Ah,
Good morning.
good morning, Ira. How's it going?
Going well.
Awesome. And I think it's you, me, it's Cowboy here. Hi, Feeling. Hi, Michael. Rocking and rolling. And welcome, everyone. It's Wednesday, May 25. That's May 25th, 2022. And we're here for our volume feature Twitter spaces on Project Paloma. And we are rocking and rolling. I think today, and what's so cool about today is that today we celebrate some major milestones in the Paloma Chain project. And so, if you're not familiar with Paloma Chain, you can check us out at palomachain.com. That's Paloma, palomachain.com. Take flight over there and come with your beaks of information and come peck with us. I think we also have one other partner supposed to join us. I think that is our good friend Chase. So I know Chase said he was setting up a Twitter account for the first time. So we welcome Chase to Crypto Twitter, and I'm sure he'll have fun. So should be somebody interesting to follow. But while he's coming aboard, let's get started. So Vera, and I think we celebrated the fact that we were able to bring online our first Cosmos SDK chain, Paloma, and we were able to slot through it. So I think the topic of this event is the top three things that we learned. So I was thinking, maybe I don't know your thoughts on where should we start as the number one thing that we learned besides that bringing up test nets and blockchains is hard. Where do you think we should start?
I think one thing is, documentation is really important. And adding to that is it's good to have multiple people on different kind of operating systems go through the documentation and try to replicate that. I think that was something really great for us, so that we kind of could round out things that that from the first draft, weren't included, or things that we should think about. Just instead of just having one person write it all up and it all makes sense in their head until someone else comes in.
That's right. That's right. So okay. So we start from documentation.
Why do you laugh?
Because I'm like, we were writing documentation while we were doing it, right? So
that is true, but we had a baseline. We had a
yeah,
baseline. We didn't start from nothing.
got it. Okay. So let's start that. If you go to again, this is for folks who are listening, and if you're aware, you can just go to github.com, and if you go to github.com, Paloma Chain is the repo. You should be able to see our repos. So go to github.com, Paloma Chain, and in our repos, you will see the Paloma repo. And this is open source software. So if you're listening to this, anybody can come in, fork this code, copy it, and start your own chain if you wish. And this is, Paloma, of course, is meant to be a chain that has a specific use case. Paloma chain is mainly focused on the simultaneous control of multiple smart contracts across multiple chains. So if you're here for the first time and you're like, well, what is this Paloma thing? Why do I even care about this testnet? We are working on Paloma. It's still a work in process, so it's not finished. There's a lot of incomplete features. But the goal of the chain is to allow any developer to run or control multiple smart contracts on any blockchain at the same time, so that you can execute multiple transactions, and you can receive results from the execution of these transactions in a way that will mean that if you have multiple contracts, you can literally fire them off or fire control to them based on what's happening on other contracts on other chains. This is a very, very ambitious goal. So, think of it as a blockchain. I don't want to think it as one ring to rule them all, and in the darkness like them. But you can think of it as, hey, I have a contract running on Ethereum. I have just let's be more specific. So, we can really sort of get, why does this chain exist? For example, I have a contract running on Curve. Like, I have an Ethereum contract that interacts with the Curve AMM on Ethereum. And I have a contract that interacts, an Optimism contract that interacts with Uniswap on the Optimism L2 chain. Now, if you wanted to make it so that those contracts could then take or move liquidity based on what was happening on either chain, it would be nice to have a way to do so automatically. It would be nice to have a way to do so where you don't have to build your own toolkit and tool set just to try to monitor each chain, and then to create logic that would respond to the actions or the results that were happening on those chains. If you could have a place where you can monitor all the chains, send instructions, and receive response, and then respond to those instructions to the appropriate contract on the appropriate chain, then you could use Paloma. Okay, so Paloma says, hey, this stuff is really hard at scale because there are more blockchains coming. There are more L2s coming. There are more rollups. There are more of everything. And to control or have impact across them all, you need something that is essentially designed for this particular use case. So that's Paloma. And so if you're now at the Paloma GitHub and you've done, you've taken a look at the README, you can say, oh, this is what this chain does. It's kind of cool. All right. I want to get started. So we put together the documentation, and I think documentation is important to lower pain, right? And we all hate pain. So we walked through this documentation, and I think, the number one thing is, yes, we learned it, documenting how to set up this Paloma binary across multiple computers, and also to start a chain with a Genesis, a Genesis file, is, essentially something that took us 2 hours, and we were on Zoom. So this documentation is our way of and we've walked through this documentation. So most of it works. So you can literally take this entire repo, fork it, and bring up your own version of Paloma, and run your own Paloma network across as many servers as you want. So documentation to make it very, very easy. I think what else did we learn? So Vera, anything else to add to that, or is that a good first step?
I think that's a good first step. I'd say there's maybe a second which kind of ties into the documentation, that it was, as we mentioned, we were documenting on the fly, but
right.
I think it was good that we had, so the original documentation was written by an engineer. I think Mattia and you collaborated on this, and then three others like Tarek, Chase, and then Jason and myself. We then worked off of the documentation, and I think it was just good to have someone different writing the original documentation, go through it to kind of vet it, right, before we actually bring external folks in, so that we can kind of make sure that it all makes sense. Anything that may have changed or that didn't work for us, we could update it and kind of dig into it.
Curl versus wget. We prefer wget.
Exactly, and I think some of the way the structure was in one place was a little bit confusing to all of us, and then we kind of had consensus as like three out of all three of us were like, oh, I did this, but I thought I didn't realize I actually need to do this. So some ordering of the documentation was improved that way.
I want to jump on that consensus. A very important experience for us. We were all on a Zoom working on this, so we could come to consensus very quickly. Very quickly. But as this as this is our first private testnet, and once we release this testnet, many folks will be able to download and run validators and install their own software. So coming to consensus may become increasingly difficult, of course, as we scale to many people. I think what's cool about this is that if you download this now while you're reading or listening, you can join the live testnet. And you can see if you are receiving blocks or catching up with blocks for us, with us in the network. So so that folks can then exit and enter the network quite quickly and easily. I think that was one thing we were thinking about today. Chase asked me, if I kill the original node, right, will the network go down? I was like, well, it's a network. So even the first node is allowed to leave. And I said, you can just test it out, shut down the computer, and then see if the network is still running. So he hasn't yelled that the network is down yet, and he's not here yet because he's installing his Twitter app. But I think what's cool is that, by playing with this, you can see anyone really in the world can join the Paloma network, look at blocks, submit transactions, and then exit the Paloma network. And continue on. Now, of course, in this thing, we learned that everybody needs to be in this network. I think the next thing I would like to talk about is validators and what it takes to be a validator. So in our setup, I think we automatically, this setup makes it easy to become a validator. So you get tokens sent to your validator key, and we make it easy that the validator transaction, it runs and you enter the network. This is where a lot of validators, usually will have problems. We've seen in the past is, one, did you generate the right validator key? Two, even though you have your validator key and you're funded, now are you validating blocks? Are you jailed? Are you unbonded? So I think we haven't really truly tested the boundaries of what, how validators will fall into jail or unbonded, but it usually is they can't connect to the network. It usually is they don't have enough coins to become a validator because not all validator networks require $0. And also they're, for whatever reason, they may have the wrong Genesis file, etc. So being a validator, that next step in getting coins, we've kind of hid it from most folks in this setup, but it's a hard, one of the hard parts of bringing up a network is, making sure your validator is not jailed, bonded, or rejected. Cool. So being a validator, we make it easy. Open source code you can download and then document it. I think the next thing we want to talk about the features. Well, what's on this chain and what's possible? So what can you do? So with this, just like any other Cosmos chain, you can create tokens. You can send tokens back and forth. We have enabled IBC, that is the inter-blockchain communications protocol, and IBC allows this network to talk to other IBC-enabled blockchains in the Cosmos ecosystem. So that's also important. Other key features, Paloma's, I think the other one is Cosmosm is also on this as well. And what's nice about Cosmosm is that in this testnet, anybody can upload a Cosmosm contract and then have that contract be confirmed by the network, stored on chain, and then used. So what's really exciting is that, yes, this Cosmos chain like Paloma is a full-on blockchain that you can write software applications on to test phase right now. And I think our next testnet, we're going to want to test and see how it works, which is coming up this Friday. So this should be awesome for us to be able to test it. I think one of the things with another thing I noticed as well is that the network is fast because there are no transactions on blocks. So if you fire up this private testnet, you'll see a lot of text flying across the screen. That's because it's validating blocks. You get to see it. But Cosmos is known for being like all blockchains, the accumulation of blocks becomes more difficult and difficult over time because blocks take up this space. And I think, Vera, you remember our experience trying to catch up with Terra.
Yes.
Catching up with Terra with a full node cost us like literally days. Right now on this testnet, it's very easy to catch up. But the longer we keep the testnet up, the harder and harder it becomes to catch up. And so the question always is, as blocks, and this has been something as a problem for Bitcoin, as block sizes continue to increase, will smaller folks with regular computers like ourselves ever be able to catch up? And of course, we know the answer now. No, you cannot catch up unless, you're able to at least, buy dedicated 2 to 3 terabyte hardware on a very popular chain. So it's tough. I see Chase is here as a listener. So let me see if Chase, can you talk? Chase. Okay, Measure, can you talk? Let's try again. Well, I think he's listening, but we know he's listening, but we don't know if he's been able to speak. All right, cool. Well, while he's getting his mic on, I think we're super excited about what's next. So, Vera, what do you think we have coming for Friday on this next testnet?
Well, we will connect to our, we'll first check that everything is still up and running.
The network is still alive.
And then secondly, we also are testing out our first attempt at a DEX. So we want to create a pair for a pool and also possibly swap.
Yeah, so we're going to be uploading our first CosmWasm contracts to the testnet. We expect something to break and it to explode in 1,000 pieces. The CosmWasm contract we will upload will be one of Terra swaps. I think Terra swap from Terra, and we'll see if it works. Chase, you're a speaker. I think you just have to unmute. So yeah, you just need to unmute. I think you're muted right now. So yeah, so that's going to be exciting. Can we upload CosmWasm contracts to this chain? And of course, whatever work we do, if it results, if you don't see a new release, again, you're listening to this, you can just go to github.com/Paloma chain and download the chain and run it as well. So and you can check our repo as well on Paloma GitHub. We have the TerraSwap CosmWasm contract as well. So anything there, you can use, you can play with, you can literally start up your own Paloma version of the blockchain and have at it and have lots of fun. So is Measure able to speak? Measure, can you talk?
I am here.
Hello.
I have a Twitter now.
You have a Twitter now. I think we need to put an NFT about that. You have a Twitter. I tell it. So Chase, any thoughts you had on your experience on bringing up the testnet? Was this your first testnet, by the way, that you brought up?
This was my first any kind of chain, and it definitely seemed a lot easier to make a new chain than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. And I think any interesting observations? Okay, so interesting observation. It was easier. Okay, so let's give it on a scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. 1 being impossible, 10 being I moved my eyes and it worked. How would you rank this experience of bringing up this chain?
If I hadn't need to make some code modifications, it would have been like almost anybody can just make a new chain.
Anybody can make a new chain. That's right. And I think that I won't say I think that is the promise of the Cosmos, right? It should be that anybody can take the Cosmos SDK, fork it, and bring up a chain for whatever use their hearts desire and whatever use case and value they think. So I want to say congrats to the Cosmos team. So we do stand on the shoulders of greats. So congrats to the Cosmos team, former Tenement team, everybody who has continuously, regen team, lots of these folks who've toiled over the last, many years to make this sort of reality as easy as, Chase's first first lovely experience. Cool. All right, and we were just confirming we have exciting stuff coming up for this private testnet this Friday, where we're going to be loading up our first WASM contracts and see if it works. Oh, see what breaks. It should be exciting. All right. So before we sign off, because we're good here, I think we've covered the critical pieces: documentation, validators, consensus, and cool features such as WASM. These are the things that make, and of course Cosmos SDK, that make it very easy to build your own private testnet. So with that, we invite you, come check us out, github.com/PalomaChain. Go to palomachain.com. We have events. Join us. You should come to our Telegram. I think it's t.me/PalomaChain. And come chat with us if you're looking to join testnets and also explore how to essentially build new chains and new dApps. Okay, that's it. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Chase. And we'll see you guys next week.
Ciao.
Thank you. Bye.
Ciao. All right, see you, Vera. Bye.